Thank you all for coming on and giving up your Friday afternoon to hear me complain about things that have gone wrong. I'll try to make it interesting. I like to be interactive, so if you have questions, challenges, you think I'm full of crap, please speak up and say so. It'll make it much more fun. Okay, cool. Actually, no, we'll do a game at the end. So what is StretchSense? StretchSense, we make rubber bands with Bluetooth. I know you can't see it, but here I'm holding a rubber band with Bluetooth. When you stretch it, it can measure that, and it tells you how far it's stretched. So it transmits over Bluetooth to your smartphone, your tablet, to some computer somewhere in the cloud. It's a rubber band with Bluetooth. Thank you very much. This is fantastically exciting if you want to measure human body motion. You can take these sensors and you can put them onto the body. You can stitch them into clothes, you can glue them into shoes, you can put them on medical devices that are being worn on the body, and then when someone moves, we can measure how your body is moving, and we can provide new ways to diagnose, train, coach, and interact. This is really quite special. So we have very large customers in the sports apparel industries, in the medical device industries. We have customers doing augmented reality, providing remote coaching. We have new ways to interact with soft robots. We have new ways to make and control soft robots, all sorts of different things. And StretchSense is at the heart of them, because without soft sensor technology, we can't do all those good things. So we're a university spin-out. We came out of the biomimetics lab at the Auckland Bioengineering Institute, and also we're heavily supported by Uniservices. I've seen a few of you in the crowd. Thank you. And we're being filmed by Uniservices. Everyone wave to the camera. And so I thought today I'd just talk about, like, when you start a company, especially if you start a company coming from a large organization. It might be a university organization, or it might well be some other, large company. It could be what they call an entrepreneur. There's this tendency to think that there's this very stable, steady plan that you have to follow through, this step. Like we talked about, you write a business plan, you pitch it to people, you raise money, you develop a product, you sell the product, you become a billionaire, you buy an island, right? And I think a lot of people get chewed up and spat out because the reality is absolutely nothing like that. Every single company that is formed is a unique snowflake, right? And that's the right term because it is precious, it is unique, and it can be crushed like that. Okay? It's a unique snowflake. And as such, it should be treated with exactly in a unique way, right? You can't create a process or a system. You can't create this machine that just stamps out with cookie cutter startups that come out successfully. So you actually have to do it differently. And what that means is, let's say you're a student. How many people are students here? Okay, cool. So talking to you for a moment. Let's say you're a student and you want to create a company coming out of your research, out of university. You can't just go and jump through the hoops and expect to succeed. You won't. Instead, what you have to do is you have to grab it by yourself, you have to take it, you have to incorporate a company, you have to start selling things, and you have to start doing things, okay? Planning will get you nowhere. Are we allowed to swear in this? Okay, thank you.
We can edit it out afterwards on the Uniservices.
On the Uniservices thing. Oh, they swear all the time. Okay, I don't know, jokes. So I think I got sort of a three-step plan for people wanting to start a business, okay? First step, quit your job, right? All of you, quit your jobs. If you haven't committed 100% to the company, if you don't actually have an incorporated vehicle to do business from, everything that you're doing is owned by someone else. It's controlled by someone else, and that's fine, but actually you're still the entrepreneur. You're not running your own company. So at some point, and this might take years, you might be building up the IP, building up the capability, finishing your PhD or whatever it happens to be, but it's not real until you take that first step and quit your jobs, actually, until you actually commit to it. That doesn't mean burn all your bridges. It doesn't mean do that to your employer and run away. Often you can quit your job and you can still keep working in the same way, contract out or what have you. But the key thing is it's not a company until you actually go to the company's office, pay the $57.50, including GST or whatever the hell it is, type your name in and have a company. So that's number one. Quit your job. Number two, you have to sell something, right? I think all this product development, product market fit, market analysis, business plan, all this stuff is crap. There, I swore. I think I already used that one, actually. Is crap a swear word these days? Bullshit? Sorry. It's all crap. Until you actually sell something, until you actually find a person who's willing to pay for what you're doing. And now I get this is a bioscience thing, so it's all like spend $100 million, get a patent, sell out to Big Pharma. I get that model. But even then, you can sell consulting services, right? You can sell your ideas, you can sell your time and effort and work. So I still think that works. If you want to start a company, you have to actually sell something. And in doing that, you'll learn all the things that really matter, and you can ignore the things that don't. And that's number 3, is deliver. And that's everything else in the world, okay? So 3-step plan: quit your job, sell something, and then deliver. Now, okay, is this interesting? Yeah? Okay, anyone bored? Okay, good. I know you wouldn't put your hand up if you're bored because you wouldn't be listening, so it doesn't work. Coming from a university, there's some absolutely fantastic things about coming from university, and there's some horrific things, to be blunt, warts and all, right? So what's a really good thing? A really good thing is that the university really wants to create startups. They really want to have spin-outs. They really want to license IP. They want to show success, right? Because they're taking taxpayer money. They're taking, not always, sometimes they make their own money commercially, but they're taking money from society and they want to say, here's this fantastic return. And they also genuinely want to see the staff and students do well, okay? So they really want to help, and they will help. We got introduced to mentors. We got introduced to people who gave us really hard talks when we needed really hard talks. We got given funding to try out ideas. We got contract support. We got bankrolled while we were selling high voltage electronics at a loss all around the world. We got all this like deep support, systematic support. It's like an ecosystem. You can use equipment. You can use facilities. Okay, that's what it's good for. That's the pond of water. Are you guys familiar with the metaphor? You can take a horse to water. This is where I'm going. You heard that? Okay, cool. So you're the horse. They can take you to the water. What do you have to do? You got to drink. And the problem is when you come from university is you're not exposed to the workings of the real world. You are held in this extended infancy. You're not exposed to the cut and thrust negotiation, angry customers, all the things that you need to do. And more to the point, you'll tend to favor the bureaucracy and processes inside the system and give them much higher weight than can I actually sell this to someone, can I make some money, has this got an opportunity, right? So the trap is you end up trying to please people within a university environment that don't need to be pleased. Are they your customer? No. Why are you talking to them? Get out there and sell it, right? The traps are you can think and worry about IP. Now, IP is a really fun one because if you have to negotiate with a university, IP is everything to them, right? Like, that's what universities do. They create intellectual property for the good of society, and they train people at creating intellectual property for the good of society. That's it. What does a business do? A business sells things. They look after customers. They do marketing. They have to manage finances. They have to manage staff. IP is this little bit for you if you're setting up a company, but for university, it's this. So you're going to hit barriers there as well, where there'll be friction between what you value and what they value. And that's natural and that's healthy, and that's just because you've got two organizations coming from different positions. But what that means is that if you try and follow the plan that is put out in front of you, you will end up doing something that's irrelevant. At some point, you have to just quit your job, sell something, and get on with it. So that's kind of, that's my general philosophy and worldview. Still interested? Okay. Any questions at this point? No? Have I offended anybody? All right. How are we doing? Okay, good. How much time do I have as well?
As much as you like.
Much as I like. Okay. So that's kind of like just a philosophical point. Just to reiterate, you have to realize that the university's job is to create an environment where you can thrive, where you can innovate, but it's your job to start the company, get out there and do it. And neither party can do what the other one can do, right? It's a partnership in the truest sense. Unless you recognize that, you'll have problems. So a bit more of history. So we set up the company in 2012. There was 3 of us, as mentioned, myself, Todd, and Ian. And we had been supported in the university for many years doing research and selling custom systems, like I said. 2 months in, we went to a customer, a local New Zealand customer, and we said, hey, would you like to buy a sensor? And they said, what does it look like? And we said, well, picture this. And we described it. I think we showed them a few rough prototypes, and they said, hey, yeah, we'd like to buy that. We've been trying to do it for 10 years. They'd been trying to do that for, and they'd never been successful, so they were super, super, super excited. We sold them the sensor for $750, which sounded like a lot of money at the time. And then we said, shit. There we go, stronger. How are we going to build it? And we spent the next 2 months building that sensor, and then eventually we actually had the sensor. This was obviously built on knowledge that we had before and technology and IP we developed before at the university, but turning it into a product had not been done. We did that, we sold it to them. That was exciting, and then that got taken to a conference in the US, and we sold a few more, and then we sold a few more, and then we had to hire our first engineers to actually deliver on this all the time. And so you're not really a business until you hire people, actually. Until then, you're sort of a hobby, to be honest. It's just like this fun game. It's this fun hobby. Oh, if it all fails, it doesn't matter. I'll just go back to Dota or something. I don't know, whatever you were doing. Once you hire people and you do exciting things like, hey, Ben, the bank says I need to get this signed letter from you to say that I can support this mortgage. I'm like, huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can support a 30-year mortgage with my 12-month-old startup company. Here you go. So you start taking on real responsibility is kind of my point, right? So you add a few staff. All of a sudden, you've got pay to go out. You have to support them. They have kids. They have houses. They have lives. That becomes a real thing. So you have to sell more. And you enter what I like to call the cycle of death. So what is this cycle of death? It is, great, I've sold some things. I have panicked on delivery. I've hired some people. We haven't been selling things. We finally deliver it, and guess what? I have this cost base that just got bigger. So crap, I nearly go under. I start selling more and more things. The whole company pivots to that. You sell, 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 sell. While you're doing that, you're not building anything. So you accumulate all this liability with your customers, and then you're like, crap, you stop, you have to build everything, and now guess what? You need more staff. So you hire more staff, your cost base goes up, and you just go, too much money, too much work, too much money, too much work. And if you're doing well, the size of that gets bigger, but you always keep going really close to the line. And so that's really, really scary for the first time. And that's something you've got to learn how to do. And again, you won't learn how to do that by sitting in a room writing business plans. You learn how to do that by selling things and then actually delivering so you don't get sued by your customers. Right, so cycle of death. So that just gets worse and worse, and it's lots of fun. No, you get to a certain point where the company adds specialization, so you start to get, say, full-time salespeople, full-time production people, and hopefully that smooths out. So it's not the end of the world. Along the way, we attracted several rounds of investment, so very, very small investment from our now chairman. We also did a deal with Uni Services, so they're shareholders in our company, in return for exclusive rights and access to the IP, which is awesome. We then raised angel funds at the end of last year, so we raised about $500,000 in angels funds, and today the company is now what? I think we've got 23 people, including students and directors and staff. We're in lots of countries, lots of customers. Is really exciting, and things are going really good. So that's fun. So why did I say that? Okay, things that will go wrong, like everything goes wrong. Like you look back in time and you think, oh wow, it's amazing, we succeeded so well. But actually, every single system that you put in place will break like 5 times over a year. It just breaks and breaks and breaks. And you spend all this time running around, putting out fires, solving problems. Like, I don't know, for example, one year, it was Easter Friday, yep. And one of my engineers who was about to go to the Coromandel for a hike, he flicks through an email saying, oh, by the way, Ben, I've just discovered we've been selling the wrong battery charger with our batteries. I'll get back to you when I get back from my trip. And he leaves. And we say, could there be a fire hazard there? Little fire hazard, charging LiPo batteries with the wrong charger. Look it up, like, yep, there's a big fire hazard. Oh, every single customer that we've ever had has a battery with the wrong charger. guess we're going to have to call all our customers. So on that Easter Friday, we had to call every single customer in our book. And you got to realize, like, we were selling like little sensors for, say, $850, and because it was a prototype new product to market, our margin was pretty low. Maybe we made like $300 on that. I don't know, thereabouts, and it cost us $450 per customer to replace and get that sorted. So in like one mistake like that, in one moment, you can just like, and you can wipe out all profit you've ever made on a product. And those things like that happen a lot. And again, I guess my point is, you can look back at it and you can be like, yay, wow, we succeeded, that's great. But you've got to realize it's a hard slog, there's real grit, and you've got to just keep fighting and keep fighting. And you don't learn that by writing business plans. I'm against business plans. Okay, any questions at this juncture? Shall I continue talking? Okay. Other lessons, other things that have gone wrong. So you have to stop thinking of yourself as a person. I know it's like quite a harsh lesson, but once you start a company and once you're running a business, you have to think of yourself as being like a cog in a machine. It's a machine that you're building as you go. It's like, some people say it's like riding your bicycle while at the same time inventing what a bicycle is, whilst at the same time building the bicycle whilst being chased by rabid dogs. That's kind of what starting a startup company is a bit like. And so, when you're in the moment and you're fixing this problem, like let's say this battery problem, right? It's like, okay, I've got to fix the problem. It's really tempting just to like go hard into that and fix it, but you also have to think, wait, how did we get into this situation? What went wrong? What process of like quality control or quality assurance or training, what did we do wrong? Was it checking the data sheets? Was it, in this case, it was a mistake on the supplier's website. They had mislabeled the charger, and it was only when we found the data sheet eventually, little note, that we're in trouble. And so you have to think of yourself in terms of a system, and you have to teach everyone around you to think of that so that you can put yourself out of a job, right? You guys must have heard this cliche before. You have to think, okay, what function am I doing? What's gone wrong? How did it go wrong? How can I fix it and make it work seamlessly so someone else can do it and it doesn't go wrong again? And then, like I said, that'll break 5 times over, and you have to keep going back and do that all the time. And again, you only learn this stuff by doing it, right? Like we had a budget blowout at one point, and that was because we didn't put adequate financial controls around some departmental budgets. And you can think, wow, that was negligent, right? But it's never until you have departmental managers that have money to spend and have their own position that you actually learn about, say, budgeting appropriately, right? And again, you kind of have to just keep, you just kind of got to keep doing it. This lesson doesn't go away. Okay. Back to the university. One of the really fun things that we did along the way was how we actually started in this whole thing is one day a friend of ours rang us up on the phone and said, hey, I just sold a system to a very large corporation and I don't know how to make the electronics part. I've seen you guys doing electronics at conferences, I've seen you making things. Could you please make it for us? And we said, sure. Absolutely, that sounds like a great idea. So this was just like 2009, I think, sometime around then. We could go back and look, but 2009. And so it was a box of high voltage electronics. We sold it for about 10 grand, which sounded like a lot of money. Again, this is a consistent theme. Charge way more than you think for things. People will pay. It's amazing. 10,000 was nothing. Like we made it. We shipped this high voltage boutique supply to the customer. It had a few problems. We went back and forth a bit. Eventually, we got it across the line, and they were really happy. And then they rang us up, and they ordered 6 more, which was like super awesome, right? That's like 6 times 10,000. Wow. Plus, they paid for like high voltage certification. They did all this cool stuff. And so as students, that was pretty special because we're doing a PhD, and on the side, we were learning how to develop products. We're learning how to negotiate. We're learning how to, manage projects, deal with customers, all that kind of stuff. And this process actually kept happening, and I think we did about $500,000 thereabouts of contract research over sort of 4 years, just on the side during our PhD. So this was obviously with deep support again from the university, from Uni Services, who helped and supported us with all the contract support, cash, all that kind of stuff. But I worked it out. At the end, I personally got paid $4 an hour. But got an education of a lifetime, right? And that was truly special and truly fantastic. Okay, another thing, like when you're negotiating with people, every single person on the planet says, oh, no, this is standard. You can't change this. This is standard. This is what we do. I've done this like 100 times. That's a lie. They're lying to you. They're always lying to you, the students. They're lying to you. Every single contract, everything in life is negotiable. Always, always, always negotiate. Always find out like what the real value of what you have. Find out what the alternatives are. And especially, again, talking to, say, the students, like one of the challenges of coming out of a university environment is that, let's say you're negotiating an IP deal. There's probably like 7 or 8 layers of people between you and where you need to be negotiating, right? You create a company, there's going to be supervisors and lecturers and deans and all these different people. And so it's really, really easy for someone in that chain to try and say, oh, no, this is just how we're going to do it. And not for any reason, not necessarily because they should be in that chain, but this is what happens in any large organization, whether it's a university or a large corporation. And so you've got to be really, really sensitive to that, and you've got to call it every single time. You have to say, actually, wait a second, why am I talking to you? Who do I really need to be talking to in this organization? Who's calling the shots? Who actually should I be negotiating with? And let's just get it clear. There is no process. There is no policy. Let's talk about this unique snowflake of a situation. And so that's something I really want to emphasize is it's extremely important from both the university's point of view and, say, a hypothetical startup coming out of it, which is what we were, that everyone at the table feels like they got a fair deal and feels like it was suited for the specific opportunity, for the specific people, for the specific technology, and the specific time, right? That's really important. So don't let anyone put too much false process or too much false system into things when it's not really there. Okay, was that one contentious? Oh, kind of wanted to boo. Okay, how am I going for time? Still talking? I can still talk.
Give you an update. 5
5, 10
to 10 minutes.
minutes? Anyone got any questions? Hello.
Have you got any kind of plan at all when you come?
Yeah. Huge plan. But the important thing about planning is that you should be planning based on the tactical situation in front of you, based on what you need to do when you need to drive it, not based on what actually happens, which is someone else's way to select from you and other opportunities. So for example, let's just talk about investors for a second. I have lots of investors, they're great. But one of the challenges around the business plan is that the investors see, let's call it 100 companies like a year, maybe 1,000, I don't know what it is, right? So what do they want to do? They want to create a framework for selecting between different opportunities. They do not want to create a framework for empowering a specific opportunity. That's not their objective. Their objective is, oh my God, I've just had another entrepreneur walk into the room, or another, lecturer pitching some committee, or whatever it is. So from their point of view, they want you to do all the legwork to make it really easy to go, yep, nah, okay, you're out. Yep, nah, you're out. Yep, nah, you're out. That's what they want, and they have to, because they've got thousands of opportunities, right? But that's their problem. That's not your problem. Your problem as the entrepreneur is to come up with a plan that reflects what you need to do. And entrepreneurs succeed by acting, right? You need to test your ideas really, really, really fast. Plan, test, plan, execute, right? You've got to get out there and do it. And so the danger of the planning is that usually it's someone else's plan to fit someone else's agenda to filter you against other opportunities. And so if you go online and it's like, here's a business plan template, 20 pages, describe it all. That is not helping you at all. It's helping someone else decide if they want to work with you, which is exactly the wrong motivation, right? So yes, we plan all the time, we plan constantly, but that comes from what we perceive we need to do to be successful, not from what someone else perceives they need to do. And I'm not bagging it because, hell, if you've got 1,000 opportunities coming across your desk, of course you're going to do that. That's but if you're the person running the company, you have to come up with a framework that works for you. That's the distinction. Does that make sense? Another question. That was fun. Let's do questions.
So how do you convince that investor that your plan that suits you is going to be the
FOMO.
cat's meow?
FOMO, fear of missing out. So the only thing that actually gets real investors across the line is thinking that other investors are going to get there first. That's it. That's it. It's sales. It's all it is. And that's why number 2 is sell things. Number 2 is not get investment. Number 2 is sell things. Because if you're selling things, that means you have revenues. That means that you can look an investor in the eye and say, you know what, this is a great opportunity. We'd both benefit from it. But if you say, no, that's fine. I'm still going to keep selling things. I'm still going to keep growing. I'm still going to keep succeeding. And that position is intoxicating for both you and for the investor, because that means that instead of you saying, oh, we're going to wait until you give me money, you're saying, no, the train's going. Do you want to get on? Like, I've got space, but, bye. That's kind of the position you have to take. So fear of missing out, actually, is the number one thing. And that's why, like, it's kind of ironic, but a lot of companies have difficulty raising funds when they've had a small amount of success. Because once you've sold, I mean, this is kind of me going against the sell things part a little bit, but you actually sometimes have to hide what you've sold a little bit so that investors are still excited about this enormous potential and this enormous upside, but at the same time, you have to be selling things so that you can say, yeah, but I don't need you, the train's leaving, the train's leaving, the train's leaving. And so there's a lot of kind of double think and mind games you play. But
how long did it take you to come up with that, to put that together?
That position, you have to work at it every single day, all day, every day, right? So,
but did you start out not having that mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we went and pitched a bunch of investors, and they said, you've got nothing, you haven't even incorporated the company. Remember, step number 1, what's step number 1?
Quit your job.
Yeah, quit your job, which is an incorporate, right? Create something to be invested into, right? Like, yeah, I'll write you a check, who to? Right? So, no, we started out pitching investors, and it failed because we actually hadn't even passed, never mind the second step, we didn't even have a company at the beginning. And then when we created it, what a lot of people will say is they'll say, oh, you're so small, come back when you've got more traction, all right? So the correct response there is, oh, no, we've got traction, we're leaving. And then they say, oh, no, wait. And then you're successful. But, raising money is this whole thing. It's like we could talk for hours and hours and hours about it. Like, it's a big thing. But fundamentally, it doesn't matter how good your business is, unless someone's actually scared that they're going to miss out on an opportunity, they're probably not going to invest. It's just, at least in my opinion.
So where have you got to now with StretchSense? Where are you now?
Where, do you mean like what's the size of the company, or?
Just like making money or?
Oh yeah, actually, we are, which is cool. So we raised the angel funds at the end of last year, and then we spent some angel funds, and we've now been profitable again for several months. We were, of course, profitable before that, because when you're bootstrapping, that's the only way that it can actually happen, right? Because unless you're selling more than you're spending, you're dead before you get off the line. We are aggressively expanding. Well, we're 97% export, so I don't know if you could say we're expanding offshore, but we're extending our presence offshore. We've got full-time business development in the US now. I have a global sales manager that's really good, so we're really driving that. In terms of mass market products, we have about 3 clients that are pretty close to going into the mass market, which is really exciting. That's kind of where we are.
So the reason why I asked it is you guys are a very smart bunch of guys, got a big reputation. But my problem with you guys has always been so interested in protecting your shareholding, the size of shareholding of the company. You'll never raise enough money to really do this properly, because this is a very competitive space in the world market. There's huge amount going on in this area.
Sure.
So I understand.
Protecting.
Oh,
sure, okay. So in terms of holding shareholding, I don't think that's been a strong motivator for us in the past. In all investment negotiations, right, there's 2 things you have to worry about. There's finances, and then there's control. That's it. Everything else is like just noise. It's what's the finances and what's the who controls what. There's a saying, you can be rich or you can be king. Right? I guess that's what you're alluding to, right? So if you control everything, then you're never going to attract funding, you're never going to attract partners, you're never going to attract, and you're never going to grow and be successful. From our point of view, we are very happy to allow investors in. I mean, we have allowed angel investors into the company, and I'm actually presently doing a Series A. So from my point of view, that hasn't been an issue. But you do have to find the right investors, and you do have to find people who have the right connections and the right strategic value. So I don't know, is yours a specific question about us or a more general question about startups?
It's more of a general question about startups. I mean, guys can tend to, but like in your case, it's a real question in the particular area you're in, whether you're going fast enough.
Oh yeah, sure.
Well, it's just enormous interest in this whole area.
Yeah. So that keeps me up late at night a lot, right? So what we're talking about there is you can grow organically. Growing organically means that you sell something, you make a profit, you pay some tax on said profit, and you reinvest the difference into your business, you get a bit bigger. Repeat, 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 repeat. It grows you like this speed, right? It will be exponential, but fairly flat. It's fairly safe from a company, an internal structural point of view, because you can learn lessons slowly. But the risk is that someone else who sees what you're doing and then says, great, here's $100 million, can instantly leapfrog you into the market and take all the value. So that's why people raise money, actually, normally, is to say, okay, I need to do the leapfrogging myself before someone catches up. And so, yeah, for us, raising money to do that specifically is very, very important. I will also say one of the lessons that we've found is that there's a whole banking industry out there, and debt finance is often overlooked by entrepreneurs. Everyone sees the kind of startup, do a seed round, do a Series A, do a Series B, so on and so forth. You can actually go a long way with debt financing as well. Banks have a totally different set of things that they worry about to a venture capitalist. But if you've got a strong customer, if you've got a good purchase order for a good amount of product, if you've got that position in the market, banks will cut big checks, and you can actually use that method as well. So from my point of view right now, I'm quite interested in seeing how you can leverage the two to go as fast as you possibly can. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
I've got a question. Yeah, I've got a question about your step one, so when you quit your job. So you've got your little sensor there.
Yeah, sure.
Stretch it, and you've got a little pressure thing. So
Yeah.
At what stage
Were we technologically?
Yeah, when you made that decision.
So
you have every single...
No, so what we had is, because we came from a university lab that had been working semi-commercially in this space for quite a while, we had some wired demos that were fairly crude. So instead of wireless, we had connections, we had a box of electronics. We had a fairly, I think, a computer running LabVIEW. We took that along, and then we turned that into, actually not this product. This product was a more recent development, but we turned that into a silicone stretch sensor, which we then sold, and we made a circuit for that. This product was actually, after we sold probably 50 systems into the market, we had people start to say to us, hey, it keeps ripping. I gave it to my boss, and they ripped it, and it got ripped. And what we realized is the silicone just wasn't tough enough, so we did a Callahan-supported project, actually, so thanks anyone from Callahan, to develop a fabric-based sensor system. And so this sensor is sewable, it's tough, it strain locks, and that's actually what we won the Sports and Fitness category at the Innovation World Cup for. So this is kind of like generation 2. The first system still works, but you need to embed it into things to make it work. Yeah, no, this represents a lot of development, a lot of effort.
Okay, so it was a prototype really then?
Yeah, it was like Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hi there.
Yeah, thanks for such a frank discussion
Yeah.
so far. But looking forward maybe equal length of time, maybe about 5 years, and only being modestly optimistic about outcome for StretchSense. What are we going to see? Are
Sure.
we all, or the more fit ones of us, are going to be buying product downtown?
Yep.
With your material? And if so, where are you going to make it? What does that look like?
Oh, lots of questions. It's a pity I don't plan. No, I can answer them. Okay, so technologically, where we're going with this. Hello. Technologically, we actually just signed another license agreement with Uniservices. Thanks, Uniservices, to bring generator IP out. So what that lets us do is create sensors, and when you stretch them, they harvest energy from that mechanical input. They convert that into electrical energy, and they can use that to power themselves. So self-powered sensors. This lets you create, and there's a very technical term for it, magical wearables. It lets you create clothing where the technology is hidden from sight. So as you move around, it captures energy from your motion, it magically comes to life, transmits data to your doctor, your coach, or what have you, and then goes back to sleep. And the reason it's magical is because for the first time, we can get rid of the lifestyle cost of wearing wearable technology. You don't have to charge it. You don't have to know that it's even there. It just gives you the benefits without the cost. There'll be a financial cost, of course, but without the lifestyle cost. And this, so from an industry point of view, this changes everything, because right now people are buying wearable technology, they buy it, they play with it, and then 3 months later it's on the bedside table gathering dust, right? It's just like a classic challenge because they're clunky, they're unattractive, and they're a pain in the ass, and they're an extra device. But imagine if it's just in your shirt, and if you forget that your shirt has wearable tech, you're still going to put a shirt on, right? Still a shirt. You still need to wear a shirt usually. And so that means that you're getting that benefit without feeling the pain, and that means that companies selling wearable technology get to have users that actually keep using their devices, which means they can sell subscription services. They can actually give you that long-term track granny's health program, or, how's your sports training doing, or here's a new interface for your phone. So technologically, that's where we're pushing. In terms of the scale of the company, obviously, we're really keen to get to market. So we have, like I said, probably about 3 main customers now that we're working with to get the product to market. So in 5 years, I would hope that we had 10 or 20 customers. You go into the shops, you can buy, lots and lots of products, which are magically able to measure how you're moving and actually provide all those good things. In terms of scale, I think right now we have sales. So we've got headquarters in Penrose. We have a sales presence in the US, on the West Coast and the East Coast, and we're negotiating with distributors in Japan, Korea, and Europe. So I would expect to have sales offices in all those locations and support offices. What was the other part of the question? Going to be really big.
Can I buy it downtown?
Yeah, what, sorry?
Can I buy it downtown?
Can you buy it? Yeah, exactly. So we sell to, say, sports apparel companies. They then distribute it through their normal outlets, right? We're not a consumer place, so they would then put it in. But absolutely, you could buy it. Okay, more questions?
Presumably you can wash this thing, right?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. So some of the sensors we've actually done like extensive underwater testing and it's fine. Other systems that hasn't been an issue. Like for example, it might be embedded inside something else, and so we play around with the shielding for waterproofing. So the answer is yes, but not every product do we put that kind of Lego block of functionality into.
People are going to love you. Not supposed to get
No, that can be washed. Yeah. It's more like if you've got a sensor that's going to be embedded inside, say, a soft part of a soft industrial robot or something like that, then it's not exposed to the elements. And shielding for water means that you add extra layers to provide the waterproofing, so it increases cost. It's just a cost benefit. Any more? I finally wore you out.